Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. I am so excited you're here with me today because we're about to go on a fantastic artistic adventure. Today, we're talking all about shapes, but, well, not just any shapes. We are going to be helping out our good friend, Leo. You see, Leo is an amazing artist, and he's got a very special project on his hands. He wants to draw absolutely perfect geometric shapes to decorate some brand new pots for his beloved plant buddies. So grab your imaginary pencils because we're going to learn everything Leo needs to know to make these pots look totally spectacular.
Take a look at these little guys. Meet Leo's cactus friends. Aren't they just the cutest? We've got one rocking a big red flower, one with lots of little waving arms, and one that's perfectly round and, extra prickly. But their pots are looking kind of plain, right? Leo wants to paint beautiful patterns all over them. But before he can even start painting, Leo really needs our help to understand 2D shapes so he can plan out his decorations perfectly. If we can teach him the rules of geometry, he's going to draw the absolute best decorations these cactuses have ever seen.
All right, let's dive right into this. Before Leo even picks up his pencil, I have a massive hook question for you. Do you happen to know the secret difference between a regular shape and an irregular shape? Think about it for a second. Have you ever drawn a square that looked just a little bit wonky, or maybe a triangle where one side was super long? Well, that actually has something to do with our secret. Keep that thought right in your head, because solving this mystery is exactly what's going to make Leo's art look brilliant.
So, first things first, we need to nail down exactly what kind of shapes Leo is making. He is drawing 2D shapes, and the absolutely crucial point here is that a 2D shape is a shape that has length and it has width, but it has literally zero depth. It is completely, totally flat. Because Leo is just sketching out his designs on a flat piece of paper before he paints them on the pots, he's working entirely in the second dimension. You can measure how tall they are and how wide they are, but there's no way you can reach inside them.
Now, every good artist has a toolkit, right? Well, for 2D shapes, Leo's toolkit basically boils down to two super important things: edges and vertices. Whenever Leo puts his ruler down and draws a nice straight line, that straight line is called an edge. It's the boundary of the shape. But what happens when two of those straight edges crash into each other? Boom, they create a corner. And in geometry, we call that corner a vertex. So honestly, whenever you're drawing a straight-sided shape, you are just connecting edges at the vertices. Okay, drumroll please, because here is the answer to that big secret I asked you about earlier. The secret of regular versus irregular polygons. When Leo wants to draw a regular polygon, he is super careful. He uses his ruler and protractor to make sure every single edge is exactly the same length, and every single angle inside is exactly equal. It's perfectly balanced. But when he draws an irregular polygon, he just freehands it. He lets his pencil go wild. The edges are all different lengths, and the angles are all different sizes. They're both polygons, but man, they have a totally different vibe.
Let's kick off Leo's first pot design with the simplest polygon of all, the triangle. Triangles, as you probably know, always have exactly 3 sides. But Leo has so many choices here. He could draw an equilateral triangle, an isosceles triangle, a scaling triangle, or even a right triangle. Each one has its own special personality. Just imagine Leo trying to decide which one to paint. Maybe a cool pattern of tiny 3-sided shapes marching right around the rim of his favorite cactus pot. To really get this, let's look at exactly what we mean by regular and irregular choices. Take a look at the equilateral triangle. That one is a regular polygon. All 3 edges are perfectly equal, and all 3 inside angles are exactly 60 degrees. It is perfectly neat and tidy. But now, look at the scaling triangle. That is a classic irregular polygon. Leo drew every single side a completely different length, and every single angle is a different size. It's leaning, it's stretching, it's a wonderfully wonky shape that adds so much fun character to his design. Okay, once Leo finishes up his triangles, he's ready to level up. It's time for shapes with 4 sides. We call these quadrilaterals. Say it with me: quad-re-later-rals. Quad literally means 4. And wow, look at all the amazing options in Leo's 4-sided toolkit. He can draw a perfect square, a stretched out rectangle, a diamond-like rhombus, a slanted parallelogram, a soaring kite, or a super cool trapezium. The possibilities for his next plant pot are basically endless. Let's zoom in on 2 of his absolute favorites, the square and the rectangle. The square is a beautiful regular polygon. Leo made sure all 4 edges are identical and all 4 corners are perfect right angles.
But what happens if he grabs the sides of that square and stretches them out really, really far? He creates a rectangle. The rectangle still has those perfect right angle corners, but now the opposite sides are longer. It's literally just a square that had a huge growth spurt. So we've tackled 3 sides and we've crushed 4 sides. But Leo has this one massive cactus pot left to decorate. It needs something epic. I want you to imagine right now, what happens when Leo adds even more edges? What happens when he draws shapes with 5 or 6 or even more sides? Well, the shapes start to get rounder, they get way more complex, and they look incredibly cool. Let's see what happens to his drawings.
Let's actually count up the sides together and see how this builds. Count with me as Leo draws them out. 5 sides. That makes a pentagon. Kind of looks like the shape of a house. Add another edge. Boom, 6 sides. That's a hexagon, just like a piece of a beehive honeycomb. Keep going. 7 sides is a heptagon. And 8 sides? Just think of a giant stop sign on the street. That is an octagon. With every single edge Leo adds, the shape gets a brand new name and a totally brand new look. Let's hit pause on our counting for just a second and look at the 6-sided hexagon. Remember our big secret rule from earlier? It absolutely still applies here. Look at the perfectly measured regular hexagon. All 6 sides are equal, all 6 angles are equal. But then look at his freehand irregular hexagon. It still has exactly 6 sides and 6 vertices, but it looks totally different. It's all stretched and squeezed. It really just proves that as long as it has 6 straight edges, it's a hexagon, no matter how wild it ends up looking.
All right, learners, it is pop quiz time. We reached 8 sides with the octagon, but Leo is feeling super ambitious for his very last cactus friend. What if he draws a polygon that has exactly 9 sides? Do you know the special name for it? I'll give you a second. Seriously, shout it out at the screen if you think you know it. 9 straight edges, connecting at 9 vertices. What could it possibly be?
If you just yelled nonagon at the screen, you completely nailed it. A 9-sided shape is a nonagon. But you know Leo, he couldn't just stop there. For his grand finale, the absolute masterpiece of his cactus pot decorations, he drew a massive, beautiful shape with 10 whole sides. And a 10-sided shape is called a decagon. Just imagine a perfectly regular decagon painted right dead center on that pot, looking almost like a star or a wheel. Leo's plant buddies are going to be absolutely thrilled.
Wow, you have done such an amazing job helping Leo figure out triangles, quadrilaterals, all the way up to decagons, and really understanding edges, vertices, and the secret of regular and irregular shapes. But now that this explainer has given you all the tools, it's your turn to be the artist. I want you to grab your own piece of paper or your worksheet and take charge. Look around your room right now. How many regular and irregular polygons can you spot hiding in plain sight? Is your window a perfect rectangle? Is your desk maybe an irregular quadrilateral? Go find them, draw them, and keep being curious. See you next time!